2004 to the present day. But again, the thing I was surprised about, and I'm coming to this, you know, the Stranglers have got some baggage with me, yeah, and I suppose it's going back to the early days when they used to tie journalists to the Eiffel Tower and things like that. But the band are professional, and by and large, so the operation that you run, the crew is so important. And again, I've read many books and many tour diaries, and I can't think of anyone who's as generous to the crew that make the show happen than you are.
It goes back to the 70s when they used to do lots of bills with people like Patti Smith and Flynn and Groovies, and they played some gigs with Ian Stanshall and all these different things, and they would just be treated like dog shit, you know. And not being those sort of people, it's just when you get the opportunity, you just want to treat people right. And the road crew are, without a doubt, massively intrinsic to everything that we do. And I mean, they'd been down to this gig that we were just talking about in the rain. They'd been down there for a whole day, you know, staking it out, sorting it out, making sure it was safe for us to just bibble up and go, "Where's my guitar?" You know what I mean? They've been there all day working hard. And I mean, the irony was that it was baking sunlight when we went down at 4 o'clock to sound check, and it was like, whoa, this is amazing, what a setting this is, you know.
There's always one.
I know. That's your mum saying, do you want chips or boiled potato? So yeah, I mean, we love our road crew, and anybody that's in a band, and I know there's a few people in bands here tonight, that you know, your road crew are extensions of yourself. And if they go to a venue in the afternoon, they're kind of, I know it's going to sound cheesy, but it's true, they're kind of ambassadors, you know. If the road crew go in and they're absolute twats, then they'll be treated like twats, and in turn we will as well. So, and we've had some great roadies. You're not really supposed to call them that anymore, they're technicians. You know? But we've had some really good technicians who are absolute twats. And you cannot work with people like that because you're with them all the time, you know, and for every 3 gigs you do, there'll be 2 or 3 days off, and you've got to coexist with people like this. And if they rub you up the wrong way, you know, it's just, I mean, going out on stage in front of a big crowd is I mean, you know, we can do it and blah blah blah, but I mean, those 2 or 3 minutes before you start, it's, you know, there's butterflies, and you know, it's stressful.
If there is anyone who's particularly geeky about tour logistics and wants to know about in-ear monitoring systems, this also is the book for you. And
I'm very exciting, eh?
I'm not slagging that off at you, because I am one of those people. I love that bit. We mentioned earlier about how each chapter has your contemporary reflection on what you'd written 10, 15, 20 years ago. And one of the chapters, tours, is when you work with the Simple Minds. Good mates of yours. Jim Kerr, Charlie, very good people. But you're not so keen on their tour managers.
No.
Who are American.
Yeah, well, that was the whole point. They were American, you know.
What made you take against them so much?
Because they were American.
But you like America.
No, I do. I liked America. I don't want to get into it now. Does anybody here really want to go to the United States of America? No. We were actually offered some dates there, and we turned them down not too long ago. We're going to go play Washington DC and stuff.
Well, you wouldn't get in.
Well, probably not, but they asked us why we didn't want to go, and the manager came up with a great artful thing that said, we don't align ourselves with your current administration. JJ went, oh, that's fucking great. That's fucking fantastic. But it's true, you know, who wants to go and play well, that twat is. Anyway, they had an American tour manager, Simple Minds, called Sandy. You know, I mean, hurry. And so there was two tour managers, and we went. We did some gigs with them. The great lads, Charlie Birch and at the time they had Mel Gaynor playing drums. Who's a really good bloke as well. And so the three of them, the core of them, were just like mates, and we'd see them every day, and da 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 da. And then we did the last gig with them at the big theatre in Aberdeen. And JJ said to me, do you want to have a wander out and watch them for the last sort of 20 minutes? And I thought, why is he doing that? He doesn't normally care about that type of thing. So me and him are at the side of the stage. There's this mountain of flight cases, and we're looking across the stage watching Simple Minds. And all of a sudden, he just gets up, climbs up onto the stage, and walks across the stage. Jim Kerr says he's coming, and they have a waltz for about 20 seconds around the stage, and it was all great, and everybody's thumbs up and all this. Anyway, he gets to the other side, and this American tour manager comes up to him and goes, "What the fuck are you doing, man? Who the hell do you think you are?" And JJ just looked at him and went, "I'm expressing myself." We've all seen the JJ Burnell 1,000-yard stare. When it's there, and it's looking right at you, and I've experienced it a few times, it's not a good place to be. And I remember distinctly standing right behind him thinking, "Ooh, don't go there, he's after you, you know." And JJ just stood looking at him, and this bloke shriveled like fucking Superman on laundry day, you know. Just folded. This black whizzing thing flew across the chimney tops like a bin bag in the wind, and it was this bloke, you know. Fantastic. I'll never forget that.
You've also expressed yourself, however, and I'm reminded, I'm saying that because you're on tour, you're doing a tour in Australia, and you're with Blondie on the last show I think you're doing together. Well, tell us what you did with Blondie. Ooh. You like Debbie Harry, don't you? You've been there to get on.
Yeah, she's a nice lady, Debbie Harry. I remember the first time I met her in Liverpool in 2006, I think it was. We did the evening arena or something with Blondie, and I was backstage talking to some friends, and she appeared behind me, and I was talking, and my friend's wife sort of looked over my shoulder and I face. So I remember Debbie Harry standing there. She's got the black and white stripy stuff on, a little hat, and she gave me that sweet smile, and I just remember thinking, if only you knew. The energy that I wasted. When I was 15, good girl. Anyway, so yeah, we toured with them many times over the years. And then we were in New Zealand, and it was first night of the tour, and she didn't. There was technical difficulties. They were messing around with the equipment. They couldn't get the equipment to work. So we all just lambing around in this heat, and it was just horrible. And everybody's thinking, "What am I going to do?" So I thought, I want a cup of tea. So I went and found some Yorkshire tea, but no kettle. No water. So I walked past Debbie Harry's dressing room, and she's sitting there with a kettle bubbling behind her head. She's sitting like an old lady like this. Like your grandma would. You know? And I said, "Can I have some water?" And she went, yeah, come on in and take tea with me and all this stuff. So I went in and I sat with her for about an hour, and she said, "You light?" You know, she's a really nice girl. And I can't remember what the question was now because I just got.
Well, the last show
when
you expressed yourself
in Brisbane. Yeah. I don't know. You've seen the photographs of that, have you? Where we all got dressed up, the four of us. We went out on. It was in Brisbane. We went out on the last 2 years before the last gig, and we ran into Blondie's road crew, all of them. And the tour manager, who, despite being American, was actually quite a nice guy. And he said, I said to him, we have this thing where we like to prank the bands that we've been on the road with. And he said, so what are you going to do? And I said, we were going to get some slutty dresses. I said, are you allowed to, can I say that, slutty? Is that, or am I going to get shot from the walkies? So he said, "Oh, you should totally do that, man. You should totally do that." So we went and got some dresses, put makeup and wigs on, and I said to the lads, "It's The Tide Is High." That's the song, because it's like a reggae thing I'm making. So we conned it out across the stage in front of Blondie. It was the bass player's birthday. We got down on our hands and knees and we were worshipping the bass player. Clem Burke thought it was really funny. Chris Stein, the guitarist, looked at me and just mouthed, "Asshole." Which I loved because I hated that little bastard. And then Debbie, I went up to Debbie Harry, and it was just in the perfect part of the song. I put my arm around her and she handed me the mic and I went, "I'm not the kind of girl." Walked off the stage and then they came into the dressing room afterwards, and that's the last time I saw them, funnily enough. This 2012, I think. But we get, she emailed, we do email from time to time, very, very rarely.
Festival bills sometimes have the same kind of bands, you know, playing Croatia and then Glastonbury and whatever. Who do you enjoy bumping into on the road? Because there's a few of these interactions in the book. Who are your mates out there?
Loads. We work a lot with the Mighty Roots, of which Lee Haggerty is here this evening.
Big round of applause for the Roots.
Always an absolute pleasure. Yeah, you can. Can I just say how pitiful that sounded from here?
Can we have some more gigs then?
Yes, mate. Yes, mate. I'll see you next week. Anyway, we're in the studio with the Wingmen next week. That's going to be really good.
I mean, this year's
Right, the light's on me now, Lee. Thank you.
This year's a bit odd for Stranglers because you don't have a UK tour this year. You're playing France. You've got some dates, obviously, in the summer. Does that create space to do Wingman dates?
Yeah. That's probably one of the reasons why we're doing it. It's one of those things that never stops. What are you fuckers laughing at? Particularly in schoolboys. I wish I'd never said anything now. I mean, you know, there's time to spare, and we did the Wingmen thing. I mean, unbelievably, it was 3 years ago, January 2023, we did that tour. And there's always been songs and stuff. The Damned have been busy, the Stranglers have been really busy, the Ruts are busy, the Mopeds busy, Supergrass, who we had brought playing keyboards with us, who's just actually left the band. But it's just finding time for the stars to align up for everybody to get together, and we're going to have a little bit of time this year. So.
And I think in the last week or the last 2 weeks, you announced a date at Hampton Court Palace. Very you, Baz.
I fiddly D. I'm Hampton Court. Yeah.
But are there likely to be more UK dates announced in the summer?
Probably not. I mean, there's Cardiff. There's festivals in Cardiff. There's a big one in Scarborough. There's Hampton Court. We're doing 2 nights at a really cool little place up in Glasgow called the Kelvin Grove Bandstand, which is we've been played before, with the Ruts actually, which we played before, which is great. So you know, you've got to sort of keep the pot boiling, but keep it all exclusive as well, I suppose, to a degree.
I was reading a book the other day. It's just come out by the bass player Damon Minghella of Ocean Colour.
Oh yeah.
Good book. Recommend it. In most part, but he's rather cutting about some of his employers and rather more scathing than you are about certain people. So, for example, Ricky Wilson, the Kaiser Chiefs, twat, right? You, however, have a different...
I like Ricky.
Ricky, tell us about the shirt he gave your daughter.
He had they played in Sunderland with the Foo Fighters and we went to see them. So we took me kids.
Can we do the gig?
No. I took my grandchildren and everybody, and we went to see them, and you know, it was great. And then we ended up playing with the Kaiser Chiefs up in Scotland, and he came up with me and he said, "You're from Sunderland, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "I've got a present here for you." Anyway, somebody in Sunderland had given him a Sunderland shirt with Wilson written on the back. Wilson! Which he didn't appreciate because he's a fucking Leeds United supporter, you know. He's the one. He's
It's a
the one.
waste, isn't it? It's a waste.
So he said to me in a broad Yorkshire accent, I'd probably end up washing my car with this, and cleaning my car, so do you want it? So I gave it to my daughter, who at the time was a big Kaiser Chiefs fan, and that was one of those things.
I like to keep things topical. In the news this week, Brewdog.
My wife had shares, my wife's Scots, and she had shares in Brewdog, and we actually did a thing for Brewdog one year, and it was just like Hades. You know, there was 4,000 people there. It was like an annual general meeting of all the shareholders. We went on at 11:30 at night, and it was fucking carnage. I've never seen so many drunk people in all my life. You know?
I mean, and again, you say in the book, because you say, look, if anyone's slagging us off for doing corporate gigs, you know, the business of rock and roll has got a lot harder in the last few years. But do you? I say you mentioned the Brewdog thing. Have you done other corporate shows? I was interested.
When I first joined the Stranglers, we did a thing on a building site down in the south, some Margate or somewhere. A very long time ago. We've actually played for someone's birthday. That was everybody here's going to go, oh, you're just complete breadheads, man. But I mean, this bloke wanted us to play at his 50th birthday party, and he just opened his checkbook. And would you fancy doing it? Yeah. So not really. I know this is going to sound probably a bit trite, but it's not about the money. I mean, obviously, there's a business you need to earn, you need to pay your way.
Well, those guys on your crew need a wage.
Well, it is, yeah, they do. So obviously, now everybody they double up and work for different bands, which is the way of the world, you know. So, but nobody begrudges them that. You know, you just get out and do the thing. For us, it's about it's about the passion. You know, once the passion goes, once the feeling and the love for it goes, and I know how corny that sounds, but it's true. You know, I do it because I love it. I happen to get paid for it, but I won't go as far as to say that I do it for nout. But I would do it for a lot less than I do. I mean, I've been doing this. I'm 62 in a couple of weeks' time, and I've been playing in bands since I was 14. So I don't know anything else.
The other thing that's very clear from the book is, you don't fuck about. You all get 100% to the show. And again, we learn how crucial the crew are in allowing you to put in those performances that everybody loves. And it does feel very much that the Stranglers are really at a high at the moment. The last few years, I say you're so you talked about, people love the idea that there might be a new album coming, the shows that are coming, everyone knows what to expect, they know it's going to be brilliant. It's fantastic.
Well, we've worked very hard, we have worked very hard, and this is something that's not lost on us, how hard we have worked. You completely and totally accept that a lot of it is there's a lot of nostalgia involved. Everybody wants to relive the youth and go back to when they were 16 again. But at the same time, you've got to counterbalance that with moving forward and always looking at the next thing.
And what are the next things? What's if this was republished and there was another chapters, what's yet to be conquered? What gigs, what places do you want to visit? What gigs would you love to do?
Well, we've never been to South America.
Yeah.
I'd love to go there. We need to make a record with Toby, because Toby's a genius and I love him. We need to do that, and just not die. Toby said to John, talking about 1,000-yard stare. You know how you've got to ease your way into situations, and Tobes is a very excitable lad, right? And he gets to the end of his first Stranglers tour. We're on a tour bus in France. And he was he was like a dog with two cocks. He was just beside himself. And we were sat, the four of us, me and Jim and JJ were sat on a table and on the back of the tables, drinking wine and travelling to the next, coming home. And Toby's had way too much to drink, and he's just like that. And he looks at JJ and he goes, well, he said, I can see us doing this for a lot more years. He said, but I think what we should do with you, JJ, and I'm sitting going, oh. You haven't earned your stripes yet to be doing that, I think we should cryogenically freeze you and thaw you out when we need you. JJ knocked on the bus driver's door and went, stop the fucking bus, this cunt's getting off. How we laughed. We just want to keep going, it's everything.
And people want you to go.
Well, everything obviously has to come to an end, We're not.
Wasn't a big response to that, was there?
No, there wasn't.
People want you to carry on.
Too late to remind myself we're in London, where people are a lot less demonstrative than the friendlier parts of the country. I'm only joking. Yeah, we just want to keep it going, and inevitably it must stop. JJ will be the governing factor of that. I don't think there's any disputing that. You can't have a band, in my opinion, without one original member in it, and he's the last one. When he says it's time to go, it's time to go, and he won't get any complaints from me. I mean, we've had when I joined the Stranglers, I thought, which is one of the reasons why I started doing this, was that it might only last a year, 6 months, maybe not even that, which is why I started to chronicle things. And here we are, Christ, over a quarter of a century later, and it's still here, and it's bigger, better, faster, stronger, arguably, than it has been in years. So, what's not to like, And the story.
I'm going to stop my rambling now because I want to give as much time as we can to questions from the audience.